Guys, our kids are growing up. They're growing up. And it just makes you so proud. So proud. It's another Magic winning weekend. We'll chat on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is January 31st, 2022. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the expert and site editor over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic pick up a big win over the Dallas Mavericks. We'll break down what happened and why it's a sign that the team is truly bringing everything together. This weekend was a sign of how the Magic are truly bringing everything together as they have a winning homestand. Yes, a winning homestand. They've won 3 of their last 5, everybody. This team's doing things. Not many things, but things. We'll get into all that, what this means coming up here in just a moment. But before we do that, we want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, whether we're your first listen of the day, whether you're listening to us right when we upload, whether you're listening to us at lunch, on your break, at your workout, on your way home, whenever. We truly appreciate you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, we're free and available on all platforms as well as streaming on YouTube. What struck me about the Magic's 110-108 win over the Dallas Mavericks, it was not the finish. We'll talk about the finish. We'll get to that. But it was how this team had so many places and opportunities where it could have folded. So many times, so many areas where it felt like this team has, in the past, just given the game away, just kind of let the rope go just long enough that the fourth quarters aren't interesting, that they don't give themselves a chance to win. You know, I've been a big proponent of, obviously, you've heard me say this during plenty of these seasons. When you have the chance to win this, you need to expect your team to win. They may not have that opportunity often. They may not have the talent to play at the highest levels or at the ability that they need to play at to stay in games all the time. But when that opportunity comes around, you need to expect them to win because winning still has to matter. And for the most part this season, as I think I've said on the show, the Magic have been pretty good for 40 to 42 minutes. And in those 6 to 8, sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, in those minutes where they're not playing well, when they're really struggling, teams just zoom past them. When they're not playing well, they're so bad that the game's over. And yes, Orlando is oftentimes able to kind of get themselves back in it and maybe close a 20-point deficit down to 10, but never in a really threatening way. The thought I had, while I was watching Sunday's game against the Mavericks, a game that was very much a seesaw battle, a game where, Orlando trailed early because of their turnovers. They came back with 41-point second quarter. They took a 10-point lead themselves. They gave that away. The thing I thought to myself, the thought that I had to myself was, okay, the way this team is playing right now, the mistakes they're making are no longer bad team mistakes. A bad team mistake is shutting down for 5 minutes and being completely out of the game within those 5 minutes, not being able to get themselves back. Instead, what I was thinking while I was watching this game was the Magic are making young team mistakes, turnovers, playing too fast, trying to do a little too much, just not having an understanding and composure through the whole 48 minutes to win comfortably, to win, kind of running away, to kind of keep the same intensity throughout. Sometimes with young teams, I think you need to stop them, sit them down, calm them down, kind of get them back in the right headspace to go out and play. And again, young team mistakes and bad team mistakes often are very, very, kind of the same, especially because most young teams are very bad. But you got to give Jamal Mosley credit. You got to give the Magic credit. They're starting to figure out how to find that poise and how to get themselves back. And so that's where I really make this, that's where I'm trying to make this distinction. The Magic were down early, down 10 early because of turnovers. They turned the ball over a ton. I think it was 6 times in the first quarter, giving the game away. That's what this Magic team has done. The turnovers have been a creeping problem all season. But they got themselves back under control. They got themselves composed. They came back in the game. 41-25, second quarter gave Orlando the lead at half. Dallas makes a run. Luka Doncic is unstoppable. The Magic don't really have an answer for him. He drags the Mavericks back into the game. Orlando's trying to scramble to slow down Doncic. He's picking them apart. And now we've got a close game. And we've seen this before in third quarters where the Magic give away a lead and the opponent just zooms past them, just runs right by them. It's happened before. Might happen again. A week ago, 2 weeks ago, that's exactly what happened in this game. But the Magic are learning. The Magic are starting to bring things together. The Magic are starting to figure it all out. And so they held Dallas off. Dallas, ended up being a 5-point lead in the fourth quarter, but they held Dallas off for most of the game. And then when Dallas finally got ahead, Orlando got a timeout. They got a 3-pointer and a basket, or they got 2 baskets to get right back in the game. They got stops. They played strong defense throughout the fourth quarter. It was a 20-19 fourth quarter in Dallas's favor, but that was enough for the Magic. And in a tie game with a minute to play, in a tie game really with 3 minutes to play, it became a stop fest. Orlando dug in deep defensively, forced tough shots, got rebounds, and gave themselves the opportunity to win the game. Then it's just all about shot making. You can live or die on shot making. If you lose on because you missed a shot, so be it. That's not what you're upset about after losing a game. But the Magic made the shots. Franz Wagner broke the tie with a minute to go with a tough running layup. The kid he's really good, guys. And Orlando took the lead. And from there, it was just all about getting stops, which they did time and time again over the course of the last minute. Even after Orlando missed to take a 3-point lead, Jalen Suggs was able to knock the ball away, get the ball back for Orlando with the shot clock off, just saving a possession, killing some more clock. And while Wendell Carter was only able to make one of those 2 free throws to make it a 2-point game, the Magic played a great defensive possession on the final possession, scrambling to get the ball out of Luka Doncic's hands after his drive, getting it out of Reggie Bullock's hands, and to Maxi Kleber, who was open. Magic did a hard closeout. He was able to sidestep it, but that was enough to knock him off rhythm. He missed a shot off the back iron. Bullock was able to rebound, but his putback, his running putback from the free throw line was no good. Might have been after the buzzer anyway. And the Magic escaped with a 110-108 victory. Again, this is not about those final moments. Those final moments are a product of the previous 48 minutes or the previous 47 minutes or whatever it was. A product of a team that's starting to figure out how to win more consistently, how to play to its identity, to win basketball games. With young teams, you just want to see them improve. You want to see them get better and better and better as the season goes on, minus any shenanigans that happen. This team, the frustrating part about this team, the frustrating part about this season so far has almost certainly been the lack of tangible progress. I've gotten into arguments with people because I see the progress. I've been like, hey, these guys are playing well. They're doing the right things here. There's just a gap. So there's just a gap there where they just don't have the talent to play. The injuries have really hurt them. And right now the Magic are as healthy as they've ever been. They're down 5 guys still, the 4 normal guys plus RJ Hampton, but they're as healthy as they've ever been, and they're playing like it. And so we're finally starting to see some of those tangible points of growth, those tangible moments of saying like, hey, this team might have something. It's not just me saying that, being around this team, watching this team enough, I can say this doesn't feel like the early parts of the last rebuild, of the Jacques Vaughn rebuild. It does not feel like that. I want to make that 100% clear. This does not feel like that. And it's because of moments like this where everything really comes together, and it's been something that's been building and building and building for a while. We'll talk about how the Magic are bringing those moments together and starting to turn a corner, it feels like, coming up here in just a moment. But first, a quick word from our pals at Built Bar. It's the new year, and that means New Year's resolutions. Are you keeping up with yours? I am admittedly slipping a little bit, trying to get back on the horse. So if your New Year's resolution, like mine, is about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure you include Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar and maybe even better than a candy bar. Built Bar makes it easier to stick to your resolution because it tastes so good you'll want to eat it. Unlike other protein bars, which can be chalky or waxy or just taste god-awful. You want to eat healthy, but it just gets so boring. You're probably thinking by week 3, where is the chocolate? You want that savory flavor. That's where Built Bars come in. They're covered in 100% real chocolate. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, just 4 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. It's the easy way to get protein after a workout to charge you through the end of your day. So instead of reaching for that candy bar, grab a Built Bar instead. Even if you're not a huge fan of working out, you can still eat something that tastes good and is good for you. That way you can enjoy a delicious Built Bar. You can almost count it as a workout. Certainly a better eating decision. And there's so many great flavors to choose from. Coconut almond, peanut butter brownie, raspberry, cookies and cream, salted caramel, mint brownie, and many more. In fact, Built Bar is always coming out with new limited time flavors. So check out Built.com often to see what's new. Go to Built.com and use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your, again, use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. We want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, whether you're your first listen of the day, whether you're listening to us right when we upload, at lunch, on break, on your way home from work. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. We are coming up on the NBA trade deadline. It is a week from Thursday. We'll have plenty of trade deadline commentary and talk as it comes up, plus hopefully some fun plans for the NBA trade deadline. But the NBA trade deadline is Thursday, February 10th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. The Locked On Podcast Network, the Locked On NBA podcast, will be covering it live from 2 to 4 p.m. So join Kim Becker, John Corrales, and Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd to get analysis of every blockbuster move. It should be a busy trade deadline. Subscribe to the Locked On NBA YouTube channel and turn your notifications on so you know when they go live. You won't want to miss our great Locked On NBA content. Let's go through the final box scores. The Orlando Magic defeat the Dallas Mavericks 110-108. A great win for the Orlando Magic. Dallas is playing extraordinarily well. I know they didn't have Kristaps Porzingis, who's a big factor in the game in Dallas, but Dallas is playing really, really well. They're 13-3 over the previous 16 games. They have been really, really good. So this is a nice win, and certainly, watching some of the Dallas folks, some of my Dallas friends. There's a lot of soul searching going on among the Dallas faithful. Just how did this game happen, or just dismissing it because it was on the second night of it back-to-back. In whatever case, Orlando really earned a solid win, something that they should be very, very proud of. Franz Wagner was the leader of the starters with 18 points, 9 for 15 shooting, 2 rebounds, 3 assists for him. Wagner's like becoming the barometer of the offense. Like, he's got to get his points. He's not like Aaron Gordon, where, I used to call Aaron Gordon the barometer of the offense. And it was mostly because when the offense works, the ball finds Aaron Gordon. The problem with Aaron Gordon was that when the offense wasn't finding him, he tried too hard to seek it out. Franz Wagner's been pretty good about staying within himself and still getting his scoring opportunities and taking advantage of them. But when the ball finds him, that's when it's really working, because he does a good job running the floor. There's a good play in the second quarter where Cole Anthony kicked it ahead off a make or off of a late transition opportunity. And Wagner was able to get ahead of the defense, get a nice Euro step for a dunk. He just makes a lot of those really good plays where he just kind of slithers his way through the lane. He's just so good at finding and squeezing through space and keeping his pivot foot alive, keeping his dribble alive to get to it and just make the right decision with the ball. I mean, his finishing still needs to improve, but that's just a rookie thing. He's just so good, and he makes life easier for everyone. He just is always available to be where the team needs him to be. Also in the starters, Cole Anthony with a nice game, 16 points, 6 for 16 shooting. He did miss all 6 of his 3-pointers. That adds 6 assists as well. Again, I've been big on this with Cole Anthony struggling to shoot a little bit. His assist numbers have been the part that have really impressed me. I am honestly looking more to his assist numbers than his scoring numbers right now. The scoring's going to come. He's going to score, whether it's efficient or not. That's going to ultimately determine whether he's a starter long term. But his passing and his playmaking have so greatly improved that he is still really valuable even when he's not scoring. So it's just, again, a big part of the push and pull this season with Cole Anthony is just understanding when to attack, when to pull back, when to help others, when just learning how to manage a game. And that's natural for a young player. It's just his second year in the league. It feels like he's a veteran just because he's a really good leader on the floor and just such a good guy in general. But this is his second year. He's going to continue to get better, and he has shown plenty of signs that he will get better. Off the bench, Chuma Okeke, 19 points, 7 for 10 shooting, 3 for 6 from deep, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals. Chuma Okeke feels like he is back. I'll talk a little bit more about him later on this week on Locked On Magic, possibly even tomorrow. But Chuma Okeke is playing back at the level that I think we all expected him to be at for most of the season. He is starting to really kind of find his fit, get his rhythm in, make shots. He's playing fantastic defense. His defense has probably been the biggest thing for him all year, especially because his shot was struggling. His defense was really good. He had at least 2 pickpockets where he just straight up took the ball from guy and was able to get a run out dunk. He's starting to hit his 3 and take smarter shots with his 3-pointer. He's really good cutting to the basket. Chuma's starting to figure the pieces out and figure himself out. And that's obviously a real good sign for the Magic. He's been just really solid overall. And so, a big part of why the Magic were able to win this one. Mo Wagner, 14 points off the bench as well, 5 for 7, over 2 from deep, 4 rebounds for him. Wendell Carter, 14 points, 14 rebounds, 5 for 10 shooting, 2 for 3 from deep. Missed a couple free throws, a couple big ones. But Dell had a really good weekend, had a really good pair of games, and just continues to just be solid for the team. He's just such a boost for the offense. The offense really operates a whole lot better with him out there. Mo Bamba, I want to give Mo Bamba some special credit. 10 points, 7 rebounds, 4 for 6 shooting, 2 for 4 from deep. This game, he was okay. He was solid. He didn't try to do too much. It was a tough matchup for him. The Mavericks kind of play small a little bit too, but he's been doing a lot better being big in the paint. And that's always been a big point that I've hammered home about him, is he has to continue to do a better job being a presence in the paint, using that length, using his arms to just deter shots. He doesn't have to block shots to be effective. Friday's game against Detroit, the Magic's win against the Pistons, I thought Mo played his best defensive game of the season. I think he had 18 points and 10 plus rebounds as well in that one. He had 2 blocks, but what really impressed me in that game, and that's why I want to mention it special, is he just did a really good job keeping verticality, using his length to deter shots and make things harder at the rim. He does not need to block shots to be effective, to be an effective player. And I think that's the big lesson for him. That's still something that, again, it's tough for young players to understand that. That's a big lesson that he's starting to implement. Again, this is just so much of what the Magic are doing right now is implementing lessons and getting better in the process. The Magic shoot 51.2% from the floor, 11 for 34 from beyond the arc, 13 of 16 from the foul line. They do have 16 turnovers that lead to 16 Dallas points, a bit of a sloppy game at times for Orlando. Orlando got themselves in trouble. It was because of that. They did outscore Dallas 60-46 in the paint, 16-8 in fast break points, 16-4 in second chance points. So the Magic winning a lot of key hustle indicators, and those are kind of bell-ringing plays. You got to commend the Magic as well for pushing the pace. They've been a lot more focused over the last few weeks in trying to get their pace back up. Their offense operates significantly better when they're playing at a high pace, when they kind of have to slow down and kind of think through things and think their way through it, break it down kind of from a standstill. That's where they really, really struggle. They just don't have the great one-on-one guys, and creating space is really tough. Kind of the dribble handoffs that they do, the screen and rolls that they do are kind of meant to create some energy and create some speed for this team and kind of get them going downhill. And that's obviously something that this team still needs to improve upon. But the Magic did a really good job controlling the pace of this game. Dallas is a slow-paced team, obviously coming off a back-to-back. Maybe didn't have the legs to get to the end, but the Magic definitely controlled the tempo that this game was played at. It was played at their pace. Luka Doncic always playing at his pace, though. 34 points, 13 for 22 shooting, 4 for 9 from deep, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, 6 turnovers. Not a lot Orlando could do with Doncic. There was some bad switching. There was, some bad moments there, but Doncic was kind of in his bag. He was able to get in the paint, able to get the matchups that he wanted on the block, be able to just kind of do whatever he wanted. But Orlando does a decent enough job blocking everyone else out. The Magic have been a really good defensive team of late. Kind of took not a step back, but didn't have the greatest defensive game in this one, but got the stops when they needed them. That's ultimately what matters. Dallas shoots 48.1% from the floor, 16 for 38 from deep. They do turn the ball over 18 times for 26 points. The Orlando Magic defeat the Dallas Mavericks 110-108. They have a winning homestand, a 3-2 homestand. They'll hit the road for their next two as they go to Chicago and Indiana for back-to-back on Tuesday and Wednesday. Then back home for back-to-back to play the Celtics or to play the Grizzlies and Celtics on Saturday and Sunday. Then they're heading out west because they want to be a Cowboy. No, they're heading out west for their last big road trip of the season. We'll talk more about that schedule as we get closer to the All-Star break. The Orlando Magic again win 110-108. We'll talk about the ways the Magic are tying everything together coming up here in just a moment. So one of the big things that obviously we're thinking about and talking a lot about as we get through this season, it's a development season. It's not a season where wins and losses are the judge. It's about how the team progresses, how individuals progress, and figuring out what the Magic have to build and work with. That's what this season's about. But as I would argue, and I think some of us would argue, winning is part of that process. Seeing everything tied together is part of that process. If there was a complaint about the way the Magic have played over the first 50 or so games now, it has been that, okay, yes, Cole Anthony's been solid. Yes, Franz Wagner's been impressive. Jalen Suggs has had his moments. Chuma Okeke's had his moments. Wendell Carter's had his moments. Mo Bamba's had his moments. They've all had these moments that the team has never been able to tie it all together and prove that, okay, A, they can work together. B, that there's something there that will ultimately lead to winning because that's what matters in the end. That's ultimately how everyone's going to get judged. And C, they're still losing a ton. They're not picking up stray wins here or there. It's been the Magic still have the worst record in the league at 11-40, but it's been rough. There's no denying that. There's no getting around it. There's no kind of sugarcoating it. A lot of people have complained to me about, I knew we'd be bad, but I didn't think we'd be this bad. And I'd be like, yeah, I didn't think so either. I thought the defense would be a little bit better, considering how much they said they worked on it. There's a lot that was a little bit disappointing, and there's a lot of, especially at the beginning of rebuild, you're wondering what the future holds. And so it's important in this moment to see the team start to tie things together. Like I said earlier, the mistakes the Magic made against Dallas, the mistakes they made against Detroit, they weren't bad team mistakes anymore. They didn't feel like bad team mistakes. They felt like young team mistakes. And right now you can live with young team mistakes. You want to eliminate bad team mistakes. You want to eliminate those stretches where, okay, you're going to get beat. It's a game of runs, as Coach Mosley likes to say. You're going to give up runs. You're going to have to understand how to handle them. And the fact of the matter is, for the first 40 plus games of the season, the Magic didn't know how to handle runs. When teams put runs on them, they tried to dig themselves out. They snowballed instead of just taking a breath, getting back to their center, getting back to what works, and grinding their way out of it, grinding their way back into games. When they got hit with a run in December, it became a 15-point deficit. No matter what, just became a 15-point deficit all of a sudden. That's what bad teams do. And yes, that's still going to happen. This is a team that's still got a lot of work to do to get where they want to be. But this homestand especially, again, yes, friendly confines of home. You could talk about some of the opponents. Certainly Detroit's not a great opponent. Chicago's out with Zach LaVine. There's wins are wins at this point for this team. I don't care about the opponent. I care about what the Magic are doing. And what the Magic did during this homestand was they started to tie it all together. We saw fewer and fewer of those moments where the team just got run out of the gym. The only time it really happened was, there are two times that it happened. The third quarter against the Lakers when they got hit with a 17-4 run, never got back in that game. And the fourth quarter against the Clippers. But that wasn't necessarily anything the Clippers did. That was the Magic being late defensively. That was the Magic fouling defensively. Those are all correctable mistakes. That was a correctable mistake. And the Magic, yes, fouled a lot in Friday's loss to the Pistons, but they didn't go into a shell because of it. They stayed aggressive. This is my big point coming out of that game on Wednesday against the Clippers. And then on Sunday, the Magic just kept building on it. They didn't foul as much. They didn't send guys to the line. They played tough defense. And when the game mattered most, they got down and defended. What we want to see is this team develop an identity. We want to see this team develop a way that they can play and a way that can get them wins. We want to see individuals continue to take steps up. And everyone said, like, look, as individuals get better, our team will get better. And that's certainly true as guys continue to improve and they continue to get used to playing with each other again, and especially as the Magic continue to get healthy. More importantly, we are starting to see that identity take shape. In January, the Magic have a top 10 defense in the league. I just want that to sit there for a moment, especially as I scroll down to get the stats especially. The Magic currently rank 8th in the NBA in January. It's an arbitrary time period. I will grant you that. But over the last 10 plus games, the Magic have one of the 10 best defenses in the league, 107.8 points allowed per 100 possessions. Their season average is around 111, 112. So, yes, we're talking about a arbitrary sample size, but again, we're looking for growth. We're looking for signs that this team gets it, that this team understands how to get better, how to eventually win games. The big takeaway from the coaching staff, big takeaway from a lot of people after Sunday's win was the poise the Magic showed. Something they have not always shown this year. Because again, they've taken those runs and they've collapsed a little bit. They've been able to prop themselves back up. They've been able to get themselves back into games. And again, as irrelevant as they might seem, dropping those 25-point leads down to 12 in the fourth, like the team is still using those minutes. And again, you could say, well, that doesn't matter. That the other team's given up. It's a 25-point game, whatever, yada, 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 yada. Yes, absolutely, 100% sure, 100% true. Magic can't be down 25 to begin with. But they've been putting that work in by fighting every minute. And now they're starting to show the poise to prevent that initial run to begin with, or to prevent that initial run from getting so bad. Dallas is a really good team. I want to reiterate that. Dallas is a really good team. Orlando's beaten some good teams this year. Utah, Denver, Dallas now. The Atlanta win, the Brooklyn win, not really wins because Atlanta was down so many guys and Brooklyn was down so many guys. But Magic have beaten some really good teams this year. So that is something of a proof of concept that this can work. And what they showed Sunday against Dallas, as much as any game this year, is how poised this group is, how poised this team can be, and how they can withstand the best punch a lot of teams can throw at them. And not only that, but dictate the terms of engagement. We're not under any impression. The Magic are not about to burn 30 games a row and make the playoffs. 41 is going to be the number to make the playoffs. You're going to have to be 500 to be in the play-in tournament. Magic are 1 game away from being eliminated, or 2 games away from being eliminated from a 500 record. They're going to go through more struggles and porting what they were able to bottle up at home during this homestand, porting it to the road, kind of getting through the ups and downs of a season. It's going to continue to be a struggle this year. But we now have proof that they can do it. We now have proof that they are starting to figure this out. They are starting to understand how they need to play, and they're starting to do it more consistently. And that's what the Magic needed to see this year. And the Magic just have to keep doing it and keep growing over the course of the rest of the season. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, follow us on Twitter at Locked On Magic. Subscribe to the podcast at Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the fun places to download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. You can find me on Twitter at PhilipRR_MD. And of course, for the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can follow us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. Now that you're done listening to us, go make your second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q, with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. For Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.